Braulio Alonso High School is the largest high school in the school district of Hillsborough County, the 8th largest district in the nation. Our 2,711 students are comprised of 52% Hispanic students, 31% Caucasian students, 7% Black students, 6% multiracial students, and 4% Asian, Pacific Islander, American Indian, and/or Alaskan Native students. Moreover, our population is peppered with 11% English language learners who speak more than 37 languages, and another 19% of our students are enrolled in exceptional student education. 66% of students qualify for free and reduced lunch. Therefore, during the 2013-14 school year, in an effort to address our diverse population and our students' varying needs, Alonso High School implemented a system of professional development and support to enhance student and teacher achievement. Rooted in our Instructional Leadership Team, a group of professional educators dedicated to sharing instructional leadership and accountability, this system of continuous improvement regarding professional practice has changed the culture of teaching and learning at our school. With a clear mission to craft shared leadership opportunities and thus more autonomous educators, to develop high-performing, literate, critical, and creative thinkers and communicators, and to ensure both teacher and student mastery of the Florida standards, our Instructional Leadership Team has inspired their colleagues to open their classroom doors, to collaborate across contents, to create interim assessments, to plan with the end in mind, to share research-based instructional strategies that will assist struggling students, to look at student work samples to gauge whole school student needs and teacher professional development needs, and to track trends across the curriculum. But most importantly, they have motivated their colleagues to effectively implement our new, more rigorous state standards.
Alonso High School's Root Instructional Leadership Team's vision is to support teachers as they develop high-performing, literate, critical and creative thinkers and communicators capable of demonstrating mastery of the Florida standards.
I think what you said, when I looked at the large percentage above AP potential in some courses and the large percentage below AP potential in some courses, I'm wondering if we share some common students. Is there a way that we can share information as to how we are successful with certain students with the other teachers?
Okay, so we're looking at our FSA reading and writing grade assessment data. As a school, we had 55% of our 10th graders passing that assessment. In 2014, 56% passed. The district average was 55, so we were right in line with that. I do know some extra data in addition to this. I know some curriculum data. I know that Sue had some of the highest scores for IRC. 48% of her kids passed the FSA, which is awesome because they're level 2s, and so they all moved up. Miss Leal also had 46% of her kids pass, which is awesome. The average for IRC was 20-something%. So they killed it, yeah.
And we also have to remember that we're two different assessments.
Absolutely.
You know, last year we were basing it on FCAT, this year it's FSA. So it's harder to compare the two. And they also combine the reading and writing, where before we had separate scores.
So the really exciting part about this data is that we did increase overall 13%. So that's really great. But I see that there is a huge difference between the intensified algebra and the regular algebra.
Well, hopefully with the way we're structuring our PLCs, we can take data from each teacher and collaboratively come together, build lesson plans, build formative assessments together where we can pick from the teachers who are excelling and have them help improve the teachers that need to improve their scores.
We need improvement in those standards-based skills, interpreting primary and secondary sources, skills with charts and graphs, political cartoons. What do you think?
I absolutely agree, and I think that what's important is that we're looking at those from a cross-content standpoint. Where can we reinforce those needs starting even younger? Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. But maybe we have like a certain training in our department where we do go over like a social studies department way of looking at those primary sources, looking at those charts and graphs.
What we're suggesting to do for next year, because we just need to keep on moving forward, is maybe looking at the standard of the charts, graphs, and primary source analysis as a whole. Our department needs to focus on maybe doing a training for just social studies about how to analyze a chart, a graph, map, or a political cartoon using the same verbiage across the board in all classes. So by the time they get to 11th grade, they'll have those skills in place from 9th and 10th grade. And then we looked for EOC 2, just having the U.S. history teachers as well as all the teachers just kind of plan together and collaborate by content.
One thing that we're concerned about is making sure that the new bio teachers that were hired this year kind of get onboarded with our reading and writing strategies that we identified as really critical to our students' success on the EOC. So we want to make sure we help those new bio teachers get engaged in those strategies we've used.
I was saying when we do our content PLCs, maybe when we work through a lesson, our algebra teachers can get with our intensified. They can come up with a lesson plan and then they can present it that week. And then the algebra teachers can go in and watch the lesson that the intensified did and vice versa. So they can steal pointers from each other and then also help and collaborate on how they can make the lesson better. And hopefully our numbers will go up.
Something that we were talking about was that all contents are responsible for reading and writing standards, the literacy standards. Now we're all, all contents are expected to teach that. So having that cross-curricular collaboration and doing the cross-content PLCs and sharing strategies, kind of like what Franny was talking about with the algebra teachers crossing between one another, we would do that within contents or between contents, so that we could share ideas and share strategies and hopefully hit up the FSA reading and writing from all angles and improve our scores next year.
Before the Instructional Leadership Team, the professional development at Alonso High School was a little generalized, and it wasn't quite catering to my individual students' needs. There were at times things that were helpful that I was able to put into my classroom, but the strategies and the ideas and the support that I've gotten after being a part of the ILT has just really changed the way that I utilize the professional development in my classroom.
Before ILT, I was the only instructional coach on campus, and as the literacy coach, I felt like the lone literacy ranger trying to help implement the standards across campus. Since ILT, what we've done is we've really individualized it to the teacher. The teachers are looking at the standards, they're breaking them down, they're applying them to their lessons, and the kids are learning them.
Connect the role of adenosine triphosphate to energy transfers within a cell.
I like this picture because you know what? This is one from the activity that I
that's
did
what
with
you're
my
doing
kids
today,
today.
with the
And
stickers.
like I said, this is one of the ones, because the kids were saying today, I'll never forget this.
After reviewing the 2014-15 student achievement data, teacher feedback forms, and PLC reflection logs, the Root Instructional Leadership Team decided to change our way of work. Instead of simply looking at student work, we decided to marry the concepts of data-driven instruction, backwards lesson planning, standard study learning walks, and looking at student work. On the first Monday meeting, the teacher presents their plan for standards-based instruction to PLC members for suggestions and to discuss EET rubric connections. Between PLCs, the teacher delivers the lesson in an open classroom with colleagues present for observations and evidence collection. The second Monday meeting, the teacher shares student work from the lesson with colleagues to determine effectiveness of strategies and student needs, and debriefs colleague observations and evidence collection. After the meeting, the teachers personally reflect on their professional practice and plan for reteaching if necessary.
In my intensified algebra class, 81% of my intensified algebra students passed the end of course exam in the state of Florida. That compares to a 32% pass rate for other intensified algebra students in Hillsborough County. The professional development opportunities we've had here at Alonso have allowed me to be more sensitive to the needs of our students. I'm actually looking at their work more and tailoring my lessons to their needs.
Just as the authors of The Power of Protocol suggest, the Alonso Instructional Leadership Team believes that we should develop a workplace where the power to assess outcomes and to take action to improve them is distributed throughout the organization. where the people who do the work are able, willing, and even eager, in consultation with their colleagues, to make changes as needed in order to make the work more effective.